guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Well, I'm finally back with my 12 weeks of fall and Halloween. I'm probably at least a couple weeks behind, but don't worry, the Halloween projects are all made. When I do this series, I do 6 Halloween and 6 fall. I do all the Halloween at the beginning. That way you've got plenty of time to make your Halloween projects before Halloween. So this is going to be number 4, and I'll have 5 and 6 up real soon. Hopefully, I'm actually going to try to get them all up in about a week and a half time frame. So that way I'll be all caught up with these, and you'll still have plenty of time to get these made if you want to make any for Halloween. And I will put, so this is week number 4. I've already got 3 done. Those are down in the video description. Just look down there and you'll find the links to all 3 of those videos. And I'm also going to go ahead and add the playlist for my 12 weeks of fall and Halloween. That'll also bring up the 3 I just did this year, plus all the other ones I've done in the past. Okay, if you would like to make this along with me, this is a cute little thing. It carries different sizes of candies, whatever you want to put in it. It's a cute little treat bag. I did have to add a binder clip. It's a mini binder clip that I got at an office supply store. Or might have been Walmart. I think it was Walmart, by the way. So these are really easy to find. But if you'd like to make this along with me, just look down the video description below and click on that blog post link, and you'll find the dimensions and the paper supply list, everything that you need to start making this. So you can pause the video, get all your stuff together, and come back and make it with me. Okay, let's get started. Here's the stamp set I'll be using, Playful Ghosts. You can find this in the online exclusive section of the online store, and there's a link to my online store down below in the video description if you're interested. Love this set. It's so cute. And the stamps you're going to need if you're going to make this along with me, you're going to need the Ghost Witch, you're going to need the Happy Halloween, and the Cloud stamp. I'm also using the Deckled Circles dies. You can find this in the annual catalog. You can also find it in my online store. And I'm going to be using the number 5 die. The way I do that, the smallest is number 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the die that you're going to want to use. Okay, before we get to making this, I thought I would show you the Halloween Spells Designer Series paper, and I'll be calling it DSP from here on out. Looks like. This is a brand new pack that came out with our scrapbooking brochure. So here is one of the designs. It is a 12 by 12, so I'm having a little hard time getting the whole paper in there, but it's 12 by 12. It's 4 double-sided designs, and you get 3 of each. So it's still the regular 12 sheets, but this time it's only 4 designs, but you get 3 of each. So we've got this one and this side. And we've got this neat Granny Apple Green Bubble one. I like this one. I like all of them, actually. And a basic black and white striped. Then we've got gorgeous scrape. And then this black and white side. Then, last but not least, this neat striped one and this side. So those are all the designs in the Halloween Spells DSP. And like I said, you get 3 of each design. Okay, let's go ahead and get some stamping done. Okay, first off, you need a piece of basic white. It's 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. I'm going to grab our little Ghost Witch. Let's turn that over. I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento. I'm twisting it because for me, it inks up a lot better. Our classic ink pads, you don't have to do this, but this is a different kind of pad, and I think it inks up a lot better if you twist it and then kind of tap it on your stamp. And I'm just going to stamp this near the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be die cutting it later. Hold that down for a few seconds. Okay, we're going to add some clouds, but they're easier to add on after it's die cut, so we're going to wait for that. So I'll put this aside for just a minute. Now I'm going to grab a piece of pumpkin pie. This is a 1.5 by 1/2 inch piece. I'm going to bring in my Tuxedo Black again and my Happy Halloween stamp. Get that inked up really good. And I'm going to stamp this near the middle, like so. That's not too bad, so I'm happy with that. So that's ready to go. So that is all the die cutting we need to do. Stamping we need to do. So let's get the die cutting machine out and get the die cutting done. Okay, if you have our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, you need the base platform for die cutting, you need the die plate, and a standard cutting plate. I'm going to grab my little witch here and put this deckled circle die around it. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some tape. This is called Post-it tape. You can also use Post-it notes or you could use the low-tack painter's tape. I think it's yellow is what someone told me. I have not tried the painter's tape before, but I use my Post-it tape all the time, and it lasts you forever because you can reuse these pieces of tape over and over and over again. Go ahead and take this out. Yes, I am going to color this. A lot of times I'll color before I die cut, but it doesn't matter which way you do it because this is still plenty of paper to hold on to while you're coloring. So that is all the die cutting we need to do. So let's get started with the treat bag. Okay, I decided before we start making the treat bag, I'm going to color this in. I'm going to be using watercolor pencils. Then we have 2 sets, and from the watercolor pencils assortment 1, which has 13 pencils in it, I'm going to use Basic Black, Daffodil Delight, Pecan Pie, Pumpkin Pie, and Real Red. And then from the watercolors assortment 2, pencils 2, this is the Gorgeous Grape that I'm going to be using. And the assortment 2, that is, has 10. So if you purchase both pencil packs, you'll have 23 of our Stampin' Up! Colors, which is nice. So I'm going to take the Gorgeous Grape, and I'm going to color in mainly the edges. I'm using a little bit of pressure to make this a little bit darker on the edges of the cape. Just go over that a few times. And I'm going to lightly color in this middle part. That's kind of going to help with some highlighting here in a minute to make it look more like a watercolor type thing. Now there is a little patch here on the hat, so I'm going to go ahead and color it in. Kind of do the center a little lighter than the edges. And that is all of the Gorgeous Grape I'm going to use. I'm going to go ahead and get all the pencils done first before I get my blender pen out. Now I'm going to use Pumpkin Pie. The little belt strap that's on the hat, I'm going to do, it's kind of narrow, so I'm just going to color the whole thing in with the Pumpkin Pie. And then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight, color in the buckle. And then we've got a little more to do with the daffodils, so let's go ahead and finish that up. I'm going to color in the little broom down here at the bottom, the broom bristles. Okay. I think I'm even going to take a little orange. I didn't do this on my original, but there's a little line here. I think I'm going to make that a little orange. There we go. And then the stick of the broom is going to be done with Pecan Pie. Once again, it's narrow, so I'm not going to worry about having the center light or anything like that. I'm just going to color it in. The Real Red is optional. I just wanted that tongue to be colored in, so that's all I use the Real Red for. So that's done. Then I'm going to grab the Basic Black pencil. And that is going to be the hat. There are stripes, but I decided just to leave make the whole hat just be black. So I'm going to color in the edges, definitely the tip dark, like I did with everything else. And I think I'm going to make the brim all dark here. That looks pretty good. And then kind of lightly go over the inside, very, very lightly. I'm kind of scribbling because what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my blender pen and my scrap piece of paper here. And to get those lines to go away, these are water-based. They're called watercolor pencils because if you get them wet, and our blender pen does a great job with this, it almost turns into paint. I'm going to try to keep the edges a little darker and then barely go over the middle. If you want to add some more, you can grab my Gorgeous Grape and do a little bit more here just to make it a little bit darker around the head. Get rid of those little squiggly lines, and that left that a little darker. That looks good to me. Now I'm going to do the little patch. If it's not purpley enough for you, and I think I need to add a little more. So that's how these work. If you need to add more, you go right ahead. Even while it's still wet, you don't have to wait till it's dry. And then you want to wipe this off, so just brush it on some scrap paper, the blender pen, until the ink runs clear. Probably still have some ink looking, you can probably tell that with my tip. But as long as it writes clear, then you're good. Now I'm going to do the orange. Actually, I'm going to do the black. Let's go ahead and finish the hat up. So I'm going to lightly go here in the center. I just did it real dark, mainly getting rid of those lines. So it looks more like it's watercolored. So it looks like the rest of it. And I think that is all the black. So go ahead and clean that off. There we go. Do the same with the orange. Take this out. Well, I might do a little bit here. I'm not going to worry about too bad up down there. Then do the buckle. I'm still doing daffodil light, so I don't need to clean it off. Get that all done for the bristles of my broom. So hopefully you can, I don't know if you can see this, but it is definitely making it look more like watercolored than just using regular old colored pencils. I think I'm going to take off a little bit. I can come through here in the middle and make this middle part a little bit lighter. With this being basic white cardstock, I don't want to get it too wet, so don't want to go over the blender pen too much. But that is the way. I didn't do anything with, well, you know what? I think I will do when I angled it to me, I could tell the tongue had some lines in it after all. So now that looks all smoothed out. So that is all done here. So let's get all the pencils out of the way. Get that blender pen covered up. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat again. Now this is a cling stamp set, which means it's rubber, the red rubber. So you technically don't need this, but I think it still stamps better when you've got it. So I'm going to underneath here. I'm going to get my pool party out. I'm going to stamp some clouds. Now I want to make sure I have my ghost angled the way I want it. I kind of like it to look like he's flying up. So he's got the broom angled a little bit. And then put these on because I want these to look straight. When you actually stamp the ghost on, it doesn't matter with the circle, because circles you can kind of move around. Squares, you'd have to make sure you definitely had it angled the way you wanted it when you stamp it. But being circle, you don't have to worry about that when you first stamp it. So that is ready to go. So put this to the side. And now it's time to get the Simply Scored scoring tool out. Okay, now I'm getting ready to do some scoring. So I've got my gorgeous great piece. This is 7.5 inches by 4 3/4. And don't worry about writing all of these sizes down. I've got them in the post link. So just you can get all that information there. So you don't need to write all this down if you're just plain watching instead of making it along with me. Now I have the 7.5 inch side along the top. I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. With our Simply Scored scoring tool, we get this nice stylus. One point is wider than the other. The wider one is for DSP because it's thinner. The smaller one is one you want to use for cardstock. The first one I want to do is 1/2 inch. And I'm holding this, as you can see, at an angle. If you hold it up and down like this, straight up and down the stylus, it tends to jump some of the tracks. I think it's a little easier to hold it like a pencil and have it slanted a little bit. So there was 1/2 inch. Here is 3 inches. And I usually do it a couple times. Once is probably all you need. It's just kind of a habit thing with me. I think I want to make sure that is really good. That was at 4 inches. And then 6.5 inches. Then you rotate it 1/4 turn. So that way a 4 3/4 inches on top. And now I'm just going to score it at 1 inch. And that's all the scoring you need to do with this piece. And now I'm going to get the pumpkin pie piece that I cut out from the Halloween Spells DSP. This is a 1.5 by 4 inch. Put the 4 inch on top and scored it at 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to go here and, I want to use my DSP side so I don't tear the cardstock, or the paper, I mean. There we go. And there it is at the 1/2 inch. So that is all the scoring we need to do. So we can put this away and finish this bag. Okay, first off, we want to burnish all of the folds, and that just means folding them because it goes a lot easier if you fold everything first before you start putting it together. Because right now, if you start and fold it a little bit, if you don't do it ahead of time, it's kind of stiff. This kind of loosens up the folds. Where the mountain, like this is the valley where we made the score. If you turn it over, these kind of look like little hills. That's actually the inside of the fold. So I always turn it over. I'm going to take my bone folder and do all of these score lines. Get them all ready to go. Makes it so much easier when you go to put this together. Okay. And then we've got this 1 inch one here. So we'll do this one. That looks pretty good. I'm going to turn it over because this is the outside. That also helps you be able to see when you start putting this together what side's the outside. I'm going to grab my scissors. I'm going to be taking off this little guy right here. So I'm going to go along this score line and then cut right along this score line, because this little piece we don't need. Now, these two little squares are tabs, are going to be tabs. So to make the tabs, just cut along that score line there and stop at that 1 inch horizontal score line. So the first one that intersects, actually the only one that intersects, you just stop right there. Do the same thing here. This one you just have to do the one side since it's on the end. Now, when you look at boxes like gift boxes, you'll notice these tabs usually aren't totally square. They're kind of angled here. We want to do that here because this helps with make it so it's not too bulky. So I go over maybe about 1/8 of an inch. That's actually probably more of 1/4 of an inch. So in between 1/4 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch. And you angle it and you stop right where that score line is. Okay, so that it gave me a tapered tab. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Go at an angle, and I angle it right towards where those score lines intersect. So I stop at the end at the right spot and get the right angle. Do the same thing here, and that is ready to go. Let's get those pieces out of the way. I'm going to go ahead. It's easier to start putting DSP and things like that on here while it's still flat. So I've got 2 pieces of the Halloween Spells DSP. They're both 2 1/4 inches by 3.5 inches. And this is the side I decided to use. I thought that was too much purple. If you like it all purple, you go ahead and do it. And you can also pick whatever design you have in that pack, because there are a lot of really good ones in there. So I'm going to take my seal, go right across those shorter edges, and then a couple little tabs there. And these are just going to go in those big sections up here. So center them in between those score lines. And do the same thing with this one. And it's going to go on that last big section. Right here. Okay, now I need some tear and tape. I'm going to get some here. And I'm going to put it right along this edge here, like so. Always push it down before I tear it, just to make sure it's on there really good. And just so you can understand, when you put this together, this is going to go under this side here. So you end up seeing the cardstock a little more right here. So I'm going to have this be my back, because this gives it a little more of a nice smooth, because these are just folds on each side. So the side that has the wider section, an actual side, this is more of a tab, then that is going to be my front. So I want this to also be the one that covers this one up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this over, still where the side is wider. That's the one I'm going to put the tape on. So put one right here. And I'm not going to worry about doing it there. It's going to be just fine the way it is. Turn this over again. I forgot about my tabs. So we're going to go ahead and put, I always just angle a little bit, so I only have to use one. That should hold it on just fine. And then I'll do this one here. Angle it a little more. There we go. So you want the front with the tape to look like this. We'll turn it over, and you want the other side to look like this. Okay? So that is ready to go. And that's actually everything that's going to be put on the actual box. So we can go ahead and put this together. I use my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to go, not right at the end, kind of come down a little bit and kind of lightly go back and forth. That loosens up that paper backing, and it comes off a lot easier when you do it that way. I'm going to bring these around together and line up the top edges and then this long edge here along the score line, like so. There we go. I want to make sure the top looks even, so that's why I made sure this was even, and then I went down the score line. Okay, now we'll put these tabs down. Actually, I probably didn't need the tabs, any adhesive on these, so if you don't want to do that, don't worry about it. But if you've already done it, it still helps to keep those tabs down so they don't get in the way just in case. So I'm going to put this side down first. Make sure these short ends are lined up with the short sides here. And I'm going to take my bone folder and kind of push down on that way. I know those tabs are together. Now I can take this off. Make sure it's nice and straight again, because you want to keep those 90-degree angles. There we go. And then I'll tap it down again with my bone folder. So now we have a nice little box. So like I said, with those tabs, if you're not worried about them folding up a little bit, because they are down there at the bottom, don't worry about putting any tear and tape there. But it still definitely works. If you're worried it's going to keep getting in the way with whatever gift you're putting in, then do it just like I did. And then I'm kind of taking my fingers and squeezing this just a little bit, because I'm going to have, so it's going to look like this. It's almost look like a gusseted bag, okay? There's no reason to score it. It's a little easier just to push it in a little bit with your fingers. So put this to the side. I'm going to grab that piece that we scored just a minute ago, and I want to make this into a banner. So have the 1/2-inch section be at the top. Take your scissors, and you want to go to about the center of the paper and do a little slit. Okay, that helps you when you go to make your banner. Now I'm going to start at this corner here and cut all the way to the top of my slit. And that helps it look a little more even. If I didn't do that center line, I would have a lopsided banner. There we go. And sometimes it's still not perfect, but that looks awful good to me, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and burnish this one. Just have it ready. With paper, it's not as important as it is with cardstock to burnish the fold, but that still helps to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to bring in my circle, and I'm going to put it on with dimensionals. Had to look at my original, make sure I was remembering right. Grab those. And I know I want it to be close to the center, like so. So I'm going to kind of put my finger underneath here. I know that's still underneath the orange. And then I'm going to kind of go over just a little bit here. A little bit here. It's a little bit of a zigzag. But that way I know that those dimensionals, when I put this on, are not going to show from the back. Take off those paper backings. You could also put them here on the paper and just kind of eyeball where the circle is. That might actually be easier, and then you can just put a little triangle here. So either way works, whichever way you want to do it. Now, when you start putting it down, make sure that those clouds still look straight. I meant to tell you that with putting the dimensionals on too. I always turn it over. It's not quite in the center. You know what? I'm going to take that off. That's why I lay these down rather than pushing them down. Makes it a lot easier to bring it back up again. You still want to be careful because these are really sticky dimensionals, and I'll get on there, but I didn't tear anything because I just laid it down. Get that more in the center again. That looks good to me. I think that's going to get it. That's perfect. That's fine. Oops, I do have a little bit of a dimensional, so I will angle it a little bit. There we go. I don't want that to be sticking on anything. Okay, now I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to put a little piece of tear and tape right across there. Just in that little half-inch section we've got across the top. I'm going to take the tape off, or the paper backing off, that is, just like I did before. Now, I want to make sure I've got the front where I want it. I'm going to look at this. I can see this is showing here, so that's definitely the back. So I'm going to turn it over. It's a lot smoother because these are all just folds. I don't see any of the sections of the cardstock where it came together. So now I know this is where I want to put this. So I'm going to put it in the center and line that score line right along the top of the bag. I'm going to kind of pinch it. That looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and push it down really good. There we go. Now, last but not least, I do want to put on my Happy Halloween. I'm going to go ahead and put, I want to put it on the back left. So I'll turn it over. I've still got my finger there, so I remember which side I want to put my adhesive on. And this is just going to go right here. I'm just holding, I didn't push it down all the way. I want to make sure I didn't have any adhesive showing, and I don't. So I know that's good. So we're almost done, but I just had to put some bling on there. So I'm going to grab my glossy dots, and I'm going to use the gorgeous scrape ones. I'm going to use one each side. So get this back over in the screen a little bit. I'm going to take the large one. What I like about these dots is that there are 3 different sizes. I'm going to put one there. I'm going to put the medium-sized one right here. And the small one, I'll take this one down here. And I'm going to put it here on my greeting. So there, that is cute. We've got our little binder clip. This is my silver binding, little mini one. Actually, I think the box said micro, so I'm not sure if micro is smaller than mini. It probably is. But a real small binder clip. Now, I thought that looked kind of, I mean, it looks fine like that. But I decided I want to put a little ribbon on there. So I grabbed a 4-inch piece of the black and very vanilla large check ribbon. I'm going to tie this in a single knot. This one's actually a little shorter than 4 inches. So that's why I'm having a little harder time. 4 inches will be just right. This is probably like 3.5 because I grabbed it from my scrap bag. I thought, oh, I can make that work. Okay, so I've got that ready. I'm going to grab some glue dots. I tried to tie it onto here, and it just wasn't going to work, so that's why I'm doing it this way. I was afraid it was going to keep sliding off the clip and just be in the way. I think it works a little better if you put a glue dot on the knot, and then just put this right in the middle, attach it to the binder clip itself. Then you can kind of hold onto that knot and get those tails to go up a little bit. And then I'm going to grab my scissors that do good with ribbon. And I'm going to cut each end at an angle so they match up a little better. And that is it. You can put little snack size, like M&Ms. I've got a little bag of Reese's Pieces. So I can open this up, put those in. Put this down. If you don't want to mess with binder clips, you could also put Velcro little dots underneath this flat, banner here, and that would hold it down too. But I liked the binder clip so I could put that ribbon on there. So I hope you enjoyed my Playful Ghosts little treat bag. If you would like to stamp with me again, make sure you subscribe to my channel by clicking that subscribe button below. And then when that bell icon pops up, select all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video. Now, if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours, and I'd love to send out your first set of catalogs free. We've got the annual catalog that came out back in May, and this is the one that just started this beginning of this month. This is the September to December mini catalog, aka the holiday catalog. That's what a lot of us call it. So I'll show you the treat bag once again. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you had fun making it if you made it along with me. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.